In the quiet town of Eldridge Hollow, nestled between dense woods and fog-laden hills, stood the old Hawthorne House, an estate shunned by the townsfolk and steeped in mystery. It was said that Elizabeth Hawthorne had met her demise there under bizarre circumstances. A young mother, she was found dead in her kitchen one stormy night, a knife embedded deep in her chest. The townspeople whispered about the shadows they saw flickering behind the windows, claiming Elizabeth's spirit lingered to seek vengeance on those responsible for her untimely death. Years passed, but curiosity drew families to the dilapidated mansion like moths to a flame. Finally, it was the Reynolds family who dared to move into Hawthorne House, Jack and Mia Reynolds along with their 2 children, Ellie and Sam. They were unaware of its sordid past. Only rumours circulated in hushed tones at local diners. As they settled in, strange occurrences began to unravel their sense of security. At night, while Jack repaired creaky floorboards and Mia painted peeling walls, Ellie would often claim she saw a woman standing at the end of the hallway, a figure draped in white with sorrowful eyes that seemed to pierce through generations of pain. "Just your imagination," Jack assured her one evening as thunder rumbled outside. One evening after dinner, while cleaning up remnants from their meal, Mia stumbled upon an ornate knife tucked away under loose floorboards, a blade that glimmered ominously, even without light. She felt an icy chill run down her spine as she grasped it. Somehow it felt familiar. Later that week marked a shift. The atmosphere thickened in the house, turning oppressive. It began with soft whispers that drifted through the hallways, faint but insistent, climbing up the walls and settling behind their ears. Then there were the shadows that moved against the walls, darting just out of sight when one turned to look. The children often awoke in the night, screaming of the woman in white, her hair like tangled vines, and her mouth opened in a silent plea for help. Determined to uncover the truth, Mia delved into the history of their new home. Beneath piles of dust and cobwebs in an old trunk, she found a collection of letters and photographs depicting the Hawthorne family. Among them was a portrait of Elizabeth, capturing her striking beauty and the hint of despair in her eyes. The letters told of a broken marriage tinged with jealousy, betrayal, and ultimately, violence. A flood of names surfaced, friends and neighbours who had fallen from grace in Elizabeth's eyes. As the children's nightmares escalated into sleepless nights, Mia confided in Jack, who brushed it off. "It's just the old house settling, honey. There's no ghost," he said, though the growing unease gnawed at him. But that night, while Mia lay awake, she felt a deep chill. A hollow voice broke through the silence, filling her mind with fragmented images of a struggle, a betrayal, and a betrayal stained with blood. Elizabeth's pain echoed through her, and in a vision, Mia saw the knife, the same one she had found, plunged deep into Elizabeth's heart by someone she once loved. The image was so vivid that Mia awoke in a sweat, the weight of that sorrow consuming her. Unseen but very much present, Elizabeth began to direct her rage at the Reynolds family. It started with petty mischief, objects moved, lights flickering, doors creaking ominously. Yet the haunting escalated. The once pleasant home turned into a prison of dread and despair. The children began to fall ill, but each time they would run to their parents, they would mutter about the woman who wanted to be free. One stormy night, with lightning illuminating the room, Jack's skepticism was shattered. The phone rang incessantly, and when he answered, there was nothing but static. Suddenly, the kitchen light blew out, plunging him into darkness. As Jack fumbled for his phone, he caught a glimpse of the figure, Elizabeth, standing with the very knife Mia had found. Her eyes locked onto his, filled with sorrow and rage intertwined. In a feverish panic, Jack stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. The sound woke Mia and the children, all rushing to see what had transpired. The moment they entered the kitchen, the atmosphere shifted. Elizabeth vanished, leaving behind an icy chill, and an unbearable silence. Mia, now convinced that Elizabeth sought justice, began to believe that they needed to uncover the truth to bring peace to this tormented soul. With the help of the townspeople, they pieced together the story of Elizabeth, not just the letters, but also the strong whispers of betrayal that had ultimately led to her death. The Reynolds decided to honor her memory with a ceremony, calling upon her spirit to acknowledge their collective guilt as a community. They gathered in the kitchen where Elizabeth had perished, the knife, now a symbol of both violence and vindication, lying at the center of the table, wrapped in a white cloth. As the townsfolk arrived, Jack, Mia, Ellie and Sam stood hand in hand, the shadows of the past thickening around them. They lit candles, their flames flickering against the walls, casting eerie silhouettes that danced with the emotions swirling in the room. The atmosphere held a heavy mix of fear and hope as they prepared to reach out to Elizabeth's spirit. Elizabeth, we gather here to honor your memory, to understand your pain, and to help find peace for you and your children. We know your heart was wounded by betrayal. We acknowledge that the pain endured by you was unfair and cruel. We are not your enemies. We wish to free you from this torment. Suddenly, the knife flashed ominously, drawing everyone's gaze. Out of the darkness, Elizabeth appeared, ethereal and enveloped in flickering shadows. Her hair billowed like smoke, and her mournful eyes bore into each heart present, revealing the depth of her sorrow and anger. Why do you linger here, Elizabeth, Vo? It was not my time. There are truths yet unspoken, and those who wronged me have never paid for their sins. What can we do to help you find peace? Unravel the web of lies that remains. Find those responsible, let their truth emerge. But beware of those who speak in whispers. They might wear friendly faces but hold the blades that have carved my suffering. As her form flickered, the Reynolds family felt a sudden rush of heat, as if the house itself were breathing, pulling them into its dark embrace. The candles flickered back to life, illuminating the anguish in Elizabeth's gaze as she began to fade. In the following days, driven by Elizabeth's message, the Reynolds pursued the truth. They conducted interviews, piecing together the fragments of the past. They discovered a tangled web of relationships, revealing one name in particularly shocking light: Thomas, a family friend who had been more than just a visitor. As they gathered evidence against Thomas, they learned that his jealousy over Elizabeth's affections had driven him to a dark place that fateful night, taking her life in a fit of rage. Confronted, he confessed, but the law's grip was weak, and he slid through their fingers like shadows in the dark. But the revelation did not rest easily with Elizabeth's spirit. That night, as the family huddled together for comfort, they heard the cries, louder, more desperate, piercing the silence. Ellie, in the depths of her dreams, felt Elizabeth's sorrow wash over her. Let me help you find justice, Elizabeth. The following day, with newfound determination, the Reynolds family gathered the town's collective spirit, reaching out to remove the facade that protected Thomas. They exposed his true nature, rallying their neighbors in a campaign of awareness, pushing for justice, and ensuring the town remembered Elizabeth not just as a ghost, but as a woman deserving recognition. The town responded. The whispers turned into shouts, and soon Elizabeth's story was no longer a ghost tale, but a living testament to the past's brutal truths. The more they shared her story, the stronger her spirit grew until one stormy night, much like the one when she was taken from this world, Elizabeth came back to the Reynolds home. You have freed me. My truth is told. I was seen, and I'm grateful. As the first soft light of dawn emerged, Elizabeth's spirit began to dissolve, leaving behind an ethereal glow that seeped into every corner of the house. The cold lifted, and an air of warmth surrounded the Reynolds family as they chuckled together. The heaviness finally lifted. Eldridge Hollow would now tell stories of the Hawthorne house differently, not as a haunted place, but as a beacon of resilience. A place that had once held sorrow, but now radiated with the spirit of justice fulfilled. And though Elizabeth's whispers faded with the morning sun, the legacy of her life and the tragedies she endured would live on in the hearts of those who dared to confront the shadows of the past.